There's one. A little bit better. Better fish, son. Wacky rig. Okay, folks, I'm going to show you a little bit about wacky rig fishing. This isn't much of a bass. It's kind of small, but it's kind of representative of what we're going to catch today. There are some big 4 and 5, 6 pounders in here, but the wacky rig really catches them good. And I have it set up on a spinning rod. It's really a good setup. And I have a little O-ring on the worm. That's a 5-inch Cinco. Okay, let's see if there's another one in the same spot. Put it down right there. See what happens. There's a strike. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, nice one. Nice one, son. Yeah. Okay. Little old spinning rod. Nice big old 3 or 4 pound bass. That's what I'm talking about, son. He might not be 3 or 4 pounds, but he's pretty good. He's the kind of fish that we catch regularly on Cincos. He's just a couple pounds. Hey, but it's representative of this wacky rig. This wacky rig is so cool. Let me straighten out the weed guard. A lot of times there's more than one fish in a spot. So we'll see how this goes. There's one. Okay, what we got here, son? I got one. It's not very big. I heard a truck blow a tire out on the highway. Okay. Now what happened was my O-ring came off and I lost my little worm. But that's all right because I have more worms and I have more Cincos. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. You don't have to use an O-ring, but here's the problem with not using an O-ring. I can just, for just the time being, not use an O-ring. I can just come through the side, but it's only good for one fish. The problem with this deal, now that I have no O-ring, chances are I'll get one strike and that's all I'll have because it'll tear the worm up. I just run that wacky rig right across the top of the grass. I was just kind of, this is all this has hydrilla here. And as you can see how the hydrilla is, the fish are just underneath the water. That's not a very big one, but it's a wacky rig fish. And basically what I was doing, this thing kind of undulates along. It's kind of a funny action. You know, you think about fish and you think about them matching the hatch. In other words, they're looking for a minnow that swims a certain way or a frog that hops a certain way. This thing here doesn't do any of that. This wacky rig has got an action that's unlike anything. If you look at it in the water right here, you can see it's just completely, it's just crazy. It just backs and forth, and it doesn't look much different than a weed right there. So I don't know, but it just doesn't look like anything in nature. But then again, a spinnerbait doesn't look like anything in nature, and they buy a spinnerbait. So how do you figure that? Oh heavens! Bass are crazy animals. You know, I think how you really figure it out. You know, bass are a predator. And they seek ambush points. They lay by these grass beds and they on the edge of a shady little place. And something that comes by, if it's right in their face and it's right in their immediate area, it's like a cat after a ball. And you know, you roll the ball towards a cat and just reflexively, he grabs the ball. And that's kind of reflexively, the bass eats this lure that's right in front of him. So a lot of strikes don't look like anything in nature. It's just a reflex strike. There's a strike. I don't know how big it is. That's a bigger fish. Now we're talking. That's a bigger fish. Yeah, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Right on top of the grass. A wacky rig. I knew there's some bigger fish around. That was a bigger one, a little bit bigger. Again, I have this heavy braid so I can kind of manhandle them a little bit. That's 30-pound braid that I have. And I can get them out. Nice little bass. Again, I've caught 4 or 5 on that same little Cinco. I'm just going to drift along here. But what I'm doing then, you see the grass just under the water. And it's not very deep. And I'm just kind of twitching it along. Ah, darn, another one. Ah, another one. Son of a gun, a big one. Ah, darn, nice one. Nice one. Look at this wacky rig time. And that's the thing, you find fish, they're all kind of the same area. Look at that big old 4-pounder. Now that's what we're talking about. Now I knew we'd find them if we kept looking around. That's a nice bass. I'm gonna drop my power pole here in a second. And okay, boys, now we're talking. That is a beautiful bass. That is what we're talking about, son. Big old 3 and 4 pounders like this. Okay, I'm gonna drop this power pole. Well, they're not right exactly right here. I'm gonna keep fan casting. Check my line. That's nice 30-pound braid. Now this is the favorite 6.5 foot series, or it's a 7 foot series. Let's see what this is. Yeah, this is the 7 foot. This is the 7 foot. Let's see what this is. Okay, this is a 7 foot medium action, and it's really a nice rod. I really like it really well. And this is the new favorite spinning reel as well, the 2500 series. And so I'm going to just make some long casts and just kind of work this thing around and just kind of fan cast the area. They're hitting it pretty fast. If I get in front of them, it's just they take it right away. So it's just a matter of covering the water right now. But I had those 2 big ones right here. Chances are there's another big one or 2 right here. When there's 2 like that, I would say that there's more around. And both of those are right here, so I might make a short cast just right here. Maybe I'm overcasting the spot. Maybe I'm throwing too far. But usually they travel together like little wolf packs. These big fish, sometimes 5 and 6 and 7 at a time, will be right together. And a lot of times you'll both catch one. You know, if you have another fishing partner, you both throw out and boom, boom, you both have a big fish on. And that's kind of what happens here in this area. They travel together. So those couple fish weren't by themselves. I feel like there's another little bunch of fish right here with them that moved off somewhere. I don't know exactly where they are, but there's one right here, right by me, just real close. Yeah, real close. Okay, that's not the big one like we had, but it's a nice little bass. Nice little bass. You know, I like braid. I tell you, braid is such a neat thing for working. You can set the hook so good. In other words, this is a medium action spin rod. This isn't a real heavy duty spin rod. Because of the medium action, I can set the hook with the braid. Now, if it had been monofilament or even fluorocarbon, I'd have a harder time setting the hook. But now, with this braid, it just sets the hook so easy. I'm gonna wrap all this. See what I can do. Again, this is like 5 or 6 fish I've caught on this one worm. And the worm is still intact. It's still in one piece. I'm just gonna pull the hook back out. I lost my weed guard. I don't even have the weed guard anymore. I had a weed guard. Now that last fish was just right here. I didn't throw very far. So maybe there's a school right around us and we'll just be real quiet. You know, that's the other thing. quiet power catches fish. In other words, when you're running a trolling motor, run it slow and quiet. When you're sitting in a boat right around a school of fish like we are, be as quiet. I'm not banging the boat. I'm not shaking the boat. I'm just kind of just being real quiet. And sure, they might know they're here, but then all of a sudden they don't hear anything and they kind of, they lose their wariness and they start to bite. But you have to be really quiet to catch them close. Because, well, I'm fishing close now. Now, if I'm making a long cast, that's a different story. You can have a little bit more leeway with noise and movement. But when you're thinking you're right on top of the fish like this, and maybe a school of fish is just right under the boat, well, I'm being real quiet. Just being real quiet. Okay, wacky worm, do your trick. You know, there's something irresistible about a wacky worm. I don't know what it is, and I've watched them in tanks and everything else. That's such a strange action, the way it oscillates back and forth and scissors it along. Nothing in nature, again, looks like it. And no plastic worm looks like it. And if you were to say, well, what is it? It's not even a plastic worm. It doesn't even look like a plastic worm coming through the water. It looks like some kind of a, I don't know. It just doesn't look like anything. There's one. Oh, yeah. Bigger fish. Bigger fish. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good fish. Maybe there's another big one out here. Now, he ran real fast. Ooh, look at the size of him. He's really good. He's really a big one. Ha ha. That's what it takes. That's a nice one. That's a nice fish, son. Yes, sir. Oop. But don't fall in. You know, another thing I like to watch out for when I'm in these Everglades is I check to see if there's been another hook mark in his mouth. Maybe this fish had been caught before. I can't see that that's the case. He doesn't look like he's been caught before. I would say maybe he's not been caught before. Just right there. Let it sink to the bottom. Watch my line. He's got it. 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 That's what it's all about. Yeah. See, when you throw back exactly in the same spot, that's a big deal. Okay. I'm trying to show you all the proper ways of fishing a school of fish with a worm like this wacky rig. You could catch them on a regular plastic worm. I'm not saying you can't. You could rig that up a regular Texas style. It's just that sometimes this wacky rig is more of a finesse-y deal, and sometimes they bite it just a little bit better. Now that fish hit the second it hit the water. There might be some more right there. Make a little short cast right there. See what happens. Let it sink. Watch your line. This 7-foot medium action is just a perfect complement for this braid. It throws so well, and I have so much control over the fish. It's really, really good. You know, people ask me, they say, what's your favorite kind of fishing? And I'll say, well, you know, bass is my favorite kind of fishing. They say, what kind of bass fishing? And I usually say power fishing, because power fishing is, uh-oh, something hit it right then. Power fishing is something that's, I use big heavy braid, big heavy rods, flip a lot, throw big heavy spinner baits, you know, throw this stuff like this. But now you see me with a little spinner rod. You say, well, he's not power fishing. Well, I kind of am power fishing. This is still kind of a power deal, because I've gone to heavy braid on a spinning rod. And so it makes it more powerful. Okay, let's go right down here maybe. I'm just going to make a little cast right there. I'm not all that sure that there's not another big fish right here. I see several fish move on top of the water, and that's a good sign when you see something come up like that. That could be that's a big school of fish right there. Good one. Good one, good one, good one, good one, good one, good one. Good one. Oh yeah. That's the kind of fish that's in here. That's the kind of fish that it takes to do well. Big old 4 and 5 pounders. I'll tell you, you can see right now that this Wacky rig is no slouch. It catches big fish. Beautiful bass as well. So don't pass up the opportunity to fish a Wacky rig. You catch some beautiful bass, and I hope I showed you a few of the ABCs of Wacky rig fishing, how I rig it up, the fact that I use braid, the O-rings, and a little bit about it. Power fishing with a spinner rod, Wacky style. Every Wednesday I post at about 6 o'clock, and every Sunday I post about 6 o'clock, and I try to do a how-to kind of format. I'm pretty good at that. So anyway, I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate you subscribing. So I'll see you soon. Thank you.